Well, greetings, Cap fans. Welcome to episode 240 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis. I'm your host. I got a co-host out there, best one out there. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob. When I got thrown into this war, I had a clear understanding with the Pentagon. No guns. I'll carry your books. I'll carry a torch. I'll carry a tune. I'll carry on, carry over, carry forward, carry Grant, cash and carry me back to old Virginia. I'll even Harry carry if you show me how. But I will not carry a gun.
I don't know what that is. I feel like I should, but
Were
it's not ringing a bell.
were you a fan of the TV show MASH?
Of course I was. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
that is a very famous quote
Mm-hmm.
from um,
Is that a
Hawkeye
Hawkeye quote?
Pierce. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Why am I greeting you with a quote from MASH?
Does it have anything to do with the year?
Well, I will say in 1974, with the comic that we're covering today,
Yeah.
MASH was the number 5 TV show.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Ooh.
You want to hear the top 4?
I do, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll count them down.
Yeah.
Ready? Uh, number 4, The Jeffersons.
Okay. Very nice.
Number 3, Chico and the Man.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff.
Number 2, Sanford and Son.
Yep. Yep.
Number 1,
Oh, it's a big one.
number 1,
Yeah.
All in the Family.
All in the Family. Oh man, those were 5 classic shows right there.
Yeah, you want to you want to round out just do the top 20.
Yeah.
I mean,
Top 20. Yeah, why
19,
not? Jump in.
1974. All right, we're
All
counting it
right.
down. All right. Number 20 was a tie between Mannix and Cannon.
Okay.
18,
Crazy.
The Wonderful World of Disney
Mm-hmm.
and The Rookies. 17, The Bob Newhart Show. 16, SWAT. 15, Policewoman. 14, Kojak. 13, Little House on the Prairie.
Yep.
12, The Rockford Files. 11, The Mary Tyler Moore Show. 10, Hawaii Five-0. 9, Maud. 8, Waltons. 7, Good Times. 6, Rhoda.
Not a bad one in the bunch.
I got to tell you, CBS owned the airways during that time.
Did they?
Of those top 20 shows,
Yeah.
12 of them were CBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Including
definitely rocked it.
8 of the top 10.
Nice.
NBC had 6 of the other 20, and ABC only had 2.
Ooh, sucking on the tailpipe. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I'm doing a little talk this week, Rick, or the week that we're recording this. And I'm starting it off with a clip from the 1976 first episode of the Donny and Marie show.
Really?
Yeah. You know
what happened?
Well, do you remember
that first episode?
Do you remember their little intro song? I'm a little bit
country.
I'm a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using that clip, right? That's going to be my intro for my talk.
Are you doing talking with someone else? Do you have a co-star?
I don't, but it's there's.
So why are you doing a duet?
Well, because it speaks to I'm doing a talk, not to belabor the point, but I'm doing a talk at a coastal education center, and my talk is about the green side instead of the blue side. So they're a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. They, like any relationship, you need both, right? They have both different personalities, but they work well together. So I'm using Donny and Marie as a sort of a segue to get into that.
How old's your target
audience?
Yeah,
they'll all remember that show.
Okay.
If they were staying up that late at that point. Yeah, no, we got an older community down here, so they will definitely remember that show.
Okay. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. You know what's so cool is Donny Osmond made a career, man. He was in the, I want to say late 80s. He made a comeback And up till that point, I mean, they sold so many. Donnie and Marie sold so many albums,
Right.
so many
Oh my
albums,
gosh. Yeah.
and but then they kind of became cliche
Uh-huh.
and goody two shoe.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, they sort of became passe, right? Nobody was really interested in the Osmond family much anymore.
Right. And they were so 70s, right?
Yeah.
And then so late 80s, Donny Osmond made a comeback, and he did this song called Soldier of Love. And it was like a rock song, not like a hard rock song, but
Right.
it was a pop song with
Mm-hmm.
some rock to it, right? And but knowing that he had this stigma to his name, they decided to release it on the airways as anonymous to get people interested in it. And
Interesting.
then they
Yeah.
revealed it, and that's Donny Osmond.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. I think, yeah, I was in late teens, and I think maybe it was around that time that I was really getting into marketing, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is smart. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was like, I really thought it was like a brilliant idea for them to get over this hump, that Donnie was, had this stigma about him.
Right. Yeah. And he was what, all of like probably 30 at that point, right?
Yeah,
Because they were
yeah.
pretty young, when they were doing their show back in the late 70s. So
Oh man, yeah,
yeah, poor
yeah.
guy.
That's a
But
good point.
they made out all right. They
Yeah,
did.
you bring up a great point. I can't tell you how many times I'm listening on to a song, yeah, an artist, and I'm like, man, I remember back in the '80s when I thought they were old,
Right. Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
and they're still around,
Still around.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and
Well, it
it's
turns out
like,
they weren't that much older than us. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh boy, it's all perspective.
Indeed.
I think I shared it on my Facebook page. I think you saw it. It was a graph that I picked up somewhere and I shared it on my feed, and it was just a bar graph. And there was two arrows, right, and it was starting at the bottom, and they were in parallel together, right, so that um, whenever the arrow was going up, there was another one just going along with it, and it
Uh-huh.
said something to the effect of, um, you know, my age and what age I thought was old. And you just basically see the graph, like you're
Right.
constantly
Yeah.
like, this is my theory of what old is as I get older. Yeah,
That's so true.
yeah. Speaking of old, we got a birthdays. We haven't done some birthdays in a while, but if you're listening to this episode on the day it comes out, May 14th, that would have been the birthday of Dave Hoover.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Sorely missed.
Yeah, Dave Hoover. He actually was a Captain America artist for about a year and a half in the 90s, and he finished off the volume one. He did the last year and a half of Captain America issues, where Mark Runwald, and where he ended it. And then another birthday that would be May 18th is Bill Everett. Now, Bill Everett is synonymous with the character. Which one?
Namor.
Yes, the Submariner.
Mhm.
Yeah, he started off in the 30s.
All right.
He did
Yeah.
Marvel Comics #1, and gosh, what else? It was like the All Star. What was it? All Star Squadron? Not All Star. You know what I'm talking about.
All
The
winners.
All Winners. Yes. So he was, familiar with Captain America, of course, and he did work all the way up to around the time the comic that we're covering today, up to the mid '70s.
That's quite a run, right? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I think about that stuff and it just gets me tired. I'm actually really beat.
Yeah. I'm looking at you and you look a little tired, Rick. Can I give you a little medical advice? Now I picked this up. I picked
Sleep
this up.
more.
I'm a doctor, not the kind that helps people. I think I've mentioned that before. But I was on a field trip to a local technical college where they offer some health occupation training, these 1 year programs. One of them certified medical assistant. And so I went in and I was listening to the sort of a spiel from the teacher who teaches one of the classes, and I noticed in the corner there was this huge box of these small bags of Funyuns. You know what Funyuns are, right?
Yeah, they're like some sort of like fake onion rings,
Yeah,
right?
they're onion flavored rings. That doesn't whet your appetite. Well, so I ask her, she finishes her spiel and she says, anybody have any questions? And of course, my hand pops right up. And, because I've been listening to this whole presentation about, their high quality medical training program. And of course, the thing I want to know is what's with all the Funyuns? And
Of course, of
yes, right.
course.
So she tells me that apparently Funyuns have, not only do they have sugar in them, but they have dextrose and maltodextrin, which are very high glycemic sweeteners. So you have a bag of Funyuns and it's going to shoot your blood sugar through the ceiling. So she said, well, whenever I see kids, students start to nod off in class, I make them go over and eat a bag of Funyuns. So very, very attentive students in her class, all of them with very bad breath. But maybe you should have a bag of Funyuns on hand.
Oh, maybe I should. I won't because I don't know if I've told you this. Onions are my kryptonite.
Ooh.
I do not like onions. I do not like onions raw. I do not like onions cooked. I do not like onions chopped. I do not like onions diced. I do not like sweet onions or red onions. I don't like anything about onions. I don't like onion flavored things. It is, I will not eat it on a hat. I will,
Yeah,
definitely.
right. Oh, I
I
think I
just,
got the picture.
I don't like onions.
Yeah.
I'm more of a
Wow.
garlic guy.
They're so close.
You would think, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about a leek? A scallion? Nothing?
No, I don't like scallions. I don't like what are those shallots,
Shallots?
anything in the
Yeah.
onion
Yeah.
family.
Not even those
Yeah.
little pearl onions, the little tiny ones.
God, what
No. Wow, my
were you
goodness.
not paying attention? I don't I don't like
Looking for a
onions.
loophole. What can I say?
Yeah. I remember as a kid uh, going to the drive-through. We'd have to make this 2-hour drive on Friday nights, and we my mom didn't obviously cook, so the 5 kids and the parents get put into the station wagon, and I'm in the very back, that little compartment with the
Oh, I
luggage
know
where
it
I'm
well. Yeah.
I'm facing
Yep.
facing the people behind us.
Yep.
Anyway,
Been
we
there.
go through McDonald's and they always get a burger. And of course, back then McDonald's had all these little tiny little diced onions, and
Yeah.
I would get the little ketchup packet in the tin foil, with the little
Yep.
serrated things, and I would use that to scrape the onions off my sandwich. But anyway, brilliant question of you.
Yeah.
So the teacher must have been thrilled that you
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really, really, really applauded my attentiveness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me of an embarrassing story of back in early '90s. I was on a student exchange with the University of Alabama. So I was going to the University of Alabama just for a couple semesters on an exchange program, and I think it was in 1991, and the you know, these comedians would come and they would do like, stand up, at the auditorium, and tickets weren't that expensive. So got to see all kinds of comedians come there. But this particular one was a guy who wrote and starred, I use the term starred loosely, but he was a member of the cast of Saturday Night Live. A. Whitney Brown. You remember him?
I sure do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he used to do the news at the time. And I think he was on the show from 1985 to 1991. And he also wrote this book that came out in 1991. And I can't remember the name of the book. But anyway, he came to perform. And then our English professor asked him, since he just had a book out, if he would come and talk to our class. And it was kind of like an invite only thing. And so, this is a class of like, I don't know, 20 people. Um, and I ended up going to this afternoon. And this was, I think, the afternoon before he performed, right? So he was there. And I get there and I'm late. And I come in and there's like 15 people in the room, right? So it's obvious that I'm late.
Right. Yeah.
And A. Whitney Brown is giving a talk. I have to walk past A. Whitney Brown to get to the chairs, right? Um, and he's giving a talk about writing and all this different stuff. And then he's like, any questions? Now, Bob, I am not shy about raising my hand and asking questions.
Sure. Okay.
I do it all the time at work. I'm
Yeah.
sure some people
Yeah.
think, hey, that's a great question. Some people are
Yeah.
like, oh,
Spring butt. Yeah.
Rick's asking another
Yeah.
question. Anyway, so I did not read the room. I did not understand the situation. And A. Whitney Brown was there to talk about writing and his book and what English people, English majors, not, I was communication, but anyway, about writing. And so I'm like, I have a question. And I pulled a Funyun. I basically said, uh, you know, um, what's one of the hardest things about writing the news on Saturday Night Live? And you should have seen the look on my teacher's face. He was so mortified that I would do ask that question.
Yeah.
And of course, A. Whitney Brown was, he's very nice, and he answered my question and everything.
Uh-huh.
And then I think I can't remember. But I think my professor was like something like, "Okay, let's now talk about writing fiction and writing nonfiction." And so
Ah,
yeah,
nice.
what can we say, Bob? We're
Yeah.
from the same cloth.
Yeah. Right. Wow. And I'm like, I didn't even know that you were once a foreign exchange, I guess an exchange student.
I was a
Was it
foreign.
like being a foreign exchange student down in Alabama?
So I was part of this program called the National Student Exchange, and it was really cool. So I went to University of Delaware, and you could go 1 or 2 semesters to any of these others that are part of this program.
Yeah.
And here's the beauty: you pay in-state tuition of where
Nice.
that place is.
Yeah.
So it was cheaper for
Oh, I
me to
bet.
go there for two
Yeah.
semesters than
Yeah.
University of Delaware.
Right.
And it was really great if you were not going to University of Delaware. If you were out of state paying out of state tuition at University of Delaware, you were saving even way more money.
Right. Yeah.
And the beauty was like all the credits transferred,
Uh-huh.
uh, but the grades didn't count towards your GPA.
Oh,
And
interesting.
that is what held me back because I rocked it those 2 semesters there. I got,
Yeah.
A's and
Right.
maybe a
Right.
few B's, and
Yeah.
none of those counted towards my
Ouch.
GPA.
Yeah.
The credits counted, but not that.
Yeah. Hmm. Ah, well, you had the experience.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. It was a good
So,
time.
yeah.
Roll Tide. Uh, all right, Bob. Should we get to today's issue?
We haven't done it yet?
Nah, no,
Oh
we,
my
we we get talking.
oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, we should jump into that.
All right. Well, we are continuing our panel by panel coverage of the Nomad story. And today we're doing Nomad Part 4. So this is Captain America 179. I'm sorry, Captain America and the Falcon 179 that came out in 1974. Bob, do you want to take the listeners through the cover?
Sure. Yeah, it is an eye-catching cover for sure, Rick. It's we've got a yellow background here, and we've got a very large Captain America looming over the cover, reaching out with his left hand, and he's all shaded in blue, and he has a very well, I would say it looks like an angry face on him, but it's
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in the foreground that's really interesting. And we see Steve Rogers on a rooftop in what appears to be New York City, and he's backed up to what appears to be a chimney, and there's an arrow sticking in his shirt, pinning him to this chimney. But in front of him, we see what looks to be some weird form of the Green Arrow. But instead of being the Green Arrow, he's yellow or golden. And he's putting another arrow on his bow, getting ready to take aim at Steve Rogers, and he's saying, "You ain't so hot without your shield and costume, are you, Rogers? You're just a sitting duck for the Golden Archer."
What? He knows him. He knows Rogers.
Indeed, is this some form of crossover, Rick?
I don't know. So, can you describe what the Golden Archer looks like? Because you just said he was a golden version of Green Arrow, but I think it's more than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a Caucasian, and he's got black hair, and he's got one of those really cool little beards, like you would think you would see on a Three Musketeer, not the
Yeah.
bar, but the
Mhm.
actual Musketeers. And he's wearing looks to be like almost maybe from this angle a domino mask, but his arms are sleeveless, so he's wearing a tunic, a sleeveless tunic, and he's got heavy leather gloves on, brown leather gloves, and he's got a golden, looks like a Robin Hood hat with a
Yeah,
big golden feather sticking out of the top of it.
indeed. Now, Golden Archer. So for people who in 1974 be like, who is this? Um, this was a callback to Avengers from 1971. So the Squadron Supreme from Earth 712 made an appearance in Avengers 85 and 86, which was came out in early 1971. So uh, the writer of those was Roy Thomas, who happens to be the editor of this story. So when we had Roy Thomas on, he did talk a little bit about, sometimes he would give some ideas, some suggestions to the writers. I wonder if this came up with Steve Englehart, if he was like, hey, maybe you could, if Steve Englehart was like, I need to get somebody to, wear a costume, like, why don't you pick this character, right? Um, I wonder. It could be possibly be.
And no lawsuit from McDonald's? Hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. Well, more likely, no lawsuit from the distinguished competition, DC Comics, because the Squadron Supreme was a Marvel's version of the Justice League. And so the Golden Archer, who actually was the Black Archer, was basically, you know, a Green Arrow.
Okay.
Um, and they had different, like Hyperion was like the Superman, and so on. So anyway, yeah, this was a nice callback to 1971 from those two issues of the Avengers. The creators for this, and by the way, the cover was done by Ron Wilson and Frank Giacoia. It has a little bit of a, I would say, John Romita look to it,
I
especially in the
think you're
face
right.
on
It
Captain
does.
America.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if sometimes John Romita was brought in to kind of fix some things on the cover. I don't know if that was the case here, but definitely inspired by John Romita. And as we mentioned, the writer is Steve Englehart, penciler Sal Buscema, and inked by Vinnie Coletta, colorist Petra Goldberg, letterer Tom Warshawski, and editor, as I mentioned, Roy Thomas. All right, so we open up and it's a splash page, one big panel of Steve Rogers in his civilian identity walking with Sharon Carter in her civilian identity. And how would you describe what Sharon is wearing?
Well, she's wearing a traditional early 1970s, looks to be miniskirt, and perhaps I don't know, maybe it's a whole ensemble underneath there, but you can only see a black shirt peeking out from under a pumpkin orange jacket that is tied around her waist. So you see very little of the miniskirt poking out from underneath. And it looks to be a green scarf around her neck and maybe some comfortable flats.
Hmm. I don't think they're flats. I'm looking at that back foot, and there definitely has a heel there.
You're right. Good eyes. Good eyes for the shoes there, Rick.
You know, the funny thing is, Bob, I don't care about shoes one iota.
Huh.
Um, I I I used to wear like the cheapest black shoes for the longest time
Uh-huh.
in my professional career. And it wasn't until I think I was divorced and single and I got some advice from some women who were like, you need to update your shoes. And I'm like, why?
I've heard
And they're
that
like,
before.
and they're like, shoes can tell you a lot about a man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to date that woman. Like, if she's judging me on my shoes, like, is that really the? And it turns out, yes, I do. So I changed my shoes.
on on further consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Steve's wearing some slacks and it looks like a black turtleneck and a brown jacket, and in the mirror, it's night, it's evening, but there seems to be a lot of people walking around, even though it's evening, including a looks like a mom with a little girl. She might be out past her bedtime, and walking by and they're carrying some shopping bags, right? Um, as he's got his left arm around her and she's got her arm around him, and they're just walking arm in arm, and but they're each carrying bags. But in the reflection of the store is Captain America in full uniform in his shield.
That's a nice touch.
And the title just went in, Bob.
Slings and arrows.
Now deeply troubled by current political events, he has abandoned the role of Captain America to become once again plain Steve Rogers. But as he walks a bustling 54th Street with his lady, Sharon Carter, on this blessedly cool summer afternoon, he will find that Captain America is not as far behind him as he thinks. You know, Sharon, I don't think I've ever felt as free as I have these past few weeks. I've had no master but myself, and no cause but my own. I don't mean that selfishly now, just that I've been able to live entirely as myself, and not at all as a piece of public property. Captain America has a legend to live up to, and legends have a habit of growing as they spread. I was like the president, an institution instead of a man. But seeing what we've seen and what we're still seeing made me a man again, a free man. I'll say we've seen each other every single day since you hung up your stripes, and that qualifies for the Guinness Book of World Records. Bob, what's the Guinness Book of World Records?
Well, it is a big book of world records, Rick. It used to be published hard copy, but I think it's so big now that they no longer actually publish it in a hard copy. Maybe they do it in volumes or something, but it is sometimes considered, the like that's the goal of somebody's life to, to get into the Guinness Book of World Records. Never been my thing, but
Really? Oh, it was totally mine. As a
really,
kid in the 70s,
yeah,
I was like, oh, did you hear about this person that got into the Guinness Book of World Records? Oh, they stood on one foot for, X amount of hours while holding, whatever.
right,
And it was
right.
something that was
Oh yeah, you
ridiculous,
could just make up
but
stuff.
but it
Right.
was a cliche. It
Yeah.
was someone would do something like, oh, what are you trying to do? Get in the Guinness Book of World Records,
Right. Yeah.
right? I mean, it was a
Yeah.
piece of pop culture that everybody talked about, and including, as you can see, Sharon Carter here in
Yeah.
1974.
I think it was very big in the 70s, for sure.
Yes, crime busting did cramp my style. Except now that I think of it, with Peggy. Sharon, I have to tell her it's you I love and not her. We've been wrong to deceive her this way. Now, who's Peggy, Bob?
Ooh, Mademoiselle. Yeah. So Steve's, I would say, long lost love from World War II, but they have been reunited, although she is quite a bit older now. And
Yeah, I
at
mean,
this,
now let's think about this. She probably, when Steve was around, let's say 1941, she was probably 20.
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this puts her in her mid 50s.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
Sharon, though, who's supposed to be her younger sister, is what? Mid to late 20s? You're on mute.
Yeah. Yep. That rings about true. I'd say that's probably true.
Very odd.
Yeah.
You haven't made any advances, Steve. Not now. Not since she's come out of her amnesia. But I did when we met in the 40s. And I've let her live her fantasy that nothing has changed. I thought to protect her from pain. But the confusions hurt her more. I've decided that. What in the world? And what happened, Bob?
Boom. It looks like is it a bag that blew up that he
Yeah,
was
an
carrying?
arrow hits it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick, Sharon, grab some cover. Unless the American Indian movement wants Manhattan back, somebody just tried to kill one of us. I thought I was finished, but then an arrow hits the ground. Smoke arrow. No, gas arrow. Watch your eyes. It's Mace. We'll have to try to duck behind a parked car. But even as the duo burst back onto the street, two new chefs find their mark. Oh, oh, pin my jacket. The dirty, throwing his head down. Steve flexes his great muscles and rips away from the wall. And what happened? What?
That's crazy, right? I mean, he just flexed and pulled, and not only did his jacket, but his shirt both tore to shreds as he stepped out of them.
Hope the crowd thinks I wear cheap clothes. Quite impressive, churl. Um, Bob, what's a churl?
That's a good question. I haven't used that word. It's not in my lexicon, but I don't know.
Well, Bob, you know what? I'll need to come prepared. So the word churl has several meanings. In modern usage, it means like a rude person, perhaps stingy. But historically, it could be described as a freeman of the lowest social rank, like a farm
Oh
laborer.
yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, which I think that's probably what he's saying here. But Cap turns and looks up, and we turn the page and we see the guy on the cover. It's the Golden Archer. Thou art all of which I have heard, and less, in the same stroke, for thou dost seek to deny thy rightful heritage. Yet I know thee, varlet, and though thou knowest me not, there be a great debt to be settled twixt thee and me. Learn then that thy accuser doth bear the name of Golden Archer, and that he bringeth death for thee. That most joyous time be not yet upon us. However, so I do depart, leaving only this quatrain. Thrice shall thou see me, thrice shall we vie, and then on the fourth time Steve Rogers shall die. Good Lord. Sharon, he knows who I was. And so will everyone else. We could put two and two together if we don't make ourselves scarce fast. Your face is just as bare as your chest. Come on. Thus, a strategic retreat is beaten, but once safe from prying eyes, Steve Rogers must put his voice to the big burning question: how did this Golden Archer know my secret? His only answers are empty echoes. Still, it demonstrates something about the man that he never thinks once about his ex partner, the Falcon, as he considers possible leaks. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
He's basically saying somebody spilled the beans on Captain America being Steve Rogers, but he didn't even once think that it could possibly have been Sam Wilson to do
Right.
that,
And despite the fact that they have been there, things have been tense between them.
to say the least.
Yeah.
But there are those who spend much of their time pondering over that self same Falcon. This one is Morgan, the Harlem crime czar. Bob, how would you describe Morgan?
Well, he's got a perpetually angry face, And so, he's what, a middle-aged black man, and he's sitting at his desk here in a nice suit with a nice tie, and he's got his dark shades on inside, but he's got that angry face on him, like he always does.
Yes, and he's surrounded by a couple of henchmen.
Yeah.
Morgan's thoughts usually run to offing the falcon, and now his chickens have come home to roost.
Scar!
Breaking through the window. Holy, it's Redwing! It's Redwing, the falcon's freaking hawk. I know that, you idiot. This is a diversion of some sort. Spread out. Search the house. And they go off running. They're not going to find me, fat man. Huh? Nobody be looking in the room they just left. Falcon, what do you want here? What do you think I want, Morgan? I know it was you that sent those two Lucifers around to scrag me, creep. When did that happen, Bob?
That was back in issue 178,
Yep.
the previous story in this arc.
Yes, and if you want to catch that story, make sure that you get to Nomad Part 2 and 3, which is episodes 231 and 235. How did you know? Never mind how. Just get this straight. My only job, until further notice, is putting you away, and I am not stopping for any reason. And he throws him up against a wall.
Woo!
Unless you do kill me. But the next guy you send around better be better than the Lucys, Morgan, or I'll send him back to you, gift wrapped. And he flies out the window. And I'll be right here in Harlem, easy to find. Anytime you feel lucky, I'll be waiting. And Morgan just shakes his fist. Cut to the next page. Early evening at the Starlin Gym, and we see Steve Rogers in the. If you listen to the last time we covered this, in his gym outfit,
Oh yeah, those
right?
polyester gym shorts.
Yeah, but he's got punching bags on. And then who's that holding the punching bag?
And that'd be the gym attendant, Roscoe.
Roscoe Pico. Goo, 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 goo.
Covered that last episode, folks.
Oh, sorry. Wow, that's some punch you got, Mr. Rogers. Feels like you're smacking more than just a bag. Believe it, Roscoe. And his name is. And then what happens, Bob?
An arrow flies through the window.
And it starts just flying around, uh, putting out a high pitched sound. Cripes! Siren blasting my ears! I can't stand it! But Steve won't have any of this. He grabs one of the ropes attached to the ceiling. He swings up into the air. He grabs the arrow midair, and then he swings out the window, crashing. So much for the siren. But I want this. I want the man who sent it. And across the street, on top of the roof, is the Golden Archer. Second time, Rogers. Farewell once more. Blast. I can't get to him. And then Roscoe comes to the broken window. Christmas, Mr. Rogers. I ain't never seen anybody move like you do. Did you hurt yourself? Are you okay? No, Roscoe. I'm anything but okay. And I just want to let listeners know uh, I didn't add any accent there. It was spelled Hoit. Hoyt.
Yes, yes. Thanks for the disclaimer. Very important.
So on the next page, we see some bikers standing around outside reading the newspaper. However, before this becomes a round of transactional analysis, let's skip swiftly westward to San Rafael, California, and have a quick look at the late afternoon meeting of the Sickle Cycle Club. Hey, this is really neat. It says here Bob Russo, the third sacker for the Bears. It says he tried to be a new Captain America and busted his full arm. When was that, Bob?
That was in last issue as well, Rick.
Oh, that's right. That was the The football player who decided he was going to be Captain America, and then he swang down into trying to stop a burglary, and he swung into a brick wall.
He was a baseball player, but yes, point stands.
Oh yeah, I hear Bears and I think
Right.
football.
The Bears. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, different Bears. Yeah.
Bob,
Yeah,
right?
of
Yeah,
course. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, football.
Absolutely.
They ain't such a that ain't such a funky idea. If nobody's claiming the name, anybody's could climb into that costume and ride. Anybody meaning Mrs. Turpin's kid, Scar. And how would you describe Scar?
Well, he looks like Steve Rogers with longer hair, longer blonde hair. In this case, he's wearing a very small watch cap, a red watch cap, and he's got a leather vest on. So
Wait a minute, wait a minute. What's a watch cap?
a watch cap. That's what you know, a knitted
Never
watch cap.
heard that term before.
Oh, really?
Of watch cap? Why do they
Yeah,
call it watch?
because if you were out on watch, you that's kept your head
That's a
warm.
military term?
It is, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Us
But it's also used
civilians,
at like dock workers and things like that.
yeah.
Yeah, watch
I've
cap.
never heard of it before.
Google it.
I don't, it's not, I'm not debating you, Bob. I'm just saying that it's a term I've never heard before.
Yeah, there you go. It's an educational show as well.
It really is. Ease up a little, Turpin. I kind of fancy being a superhero myself. I've been thinking about it since the Ghost Rider hit the circuit, and I claim first rights. Maybe you're right on, Rasputin. So you can have my first right. And he punches him with a right cross.
Wham!
Hey, pretty sneaky move, Scar. Old Rasputin should have known better than to take you on. Man, ain't nobody gonna hassle this Captain America. Oh, really? Okay, so we turn a couple of pages and we get to Steve Rogers in his civilian identity sitting on the fire escape, right? Outside of Sharon's apartment, Brownstone. But back east, things don't look quite so rosy. This maniac has attacked twice now. It fled both times. He's enough to drive me crazy. If I only knew why he hates me, or how he discovered my dual identity. Didn't you reveal your secret once, darling? Yes, the other time I quit being Cap. When was that, Bob?
That was way back in Tales of Suspense '95.
But the whole world has forgotten it, just as you have. It was an unintentional benefit of a plot cooked up by an alien called the Space Phantom. He needed my mind to be at peace in order to exchange it with the visions. When was this?
That was in Avengers 107.
Hmm. My advanced technology will end the difficulties your identity revelation has caused you by erasing your planet's memory of it. At least, that's about what he said. He erased my memory of the meaning as well, so I learned it all from the android. The point is, no one. Oh, it's Peggy, coming back from S.H.I.E.L.D. Go on inside, Sharon. I might as well get one unpleasant task out of the way. So he calls down to her as she's walking by on the sidewalk. Peggy. Peggy Carter. Huh? Who's there? It's Cap, mademoiselle. Cap? Oh, Cap, you've come back. Just this once, mademoiselle. To tell you not to wait for me. I can't even show you my face because the man we both know as Captain America is no more. What we had was beautiful, Peggy, but it can't exist today. I should have told you sooner. And tears come to her eyes, and she turns and she walks away with her head down. Oh, Cap! Oh, Cap! Blast it. Why didn't I just shoot her and be done with it? Why can't I ever do the right thing in dealing with people? I'll go after her. My secret identity be and then an arrow flies by his head. We turn the page. Completely dissolved are all thoughts of Peggy Carter. Not that he would have wished it that way, but that's the way it is. The Steve Rogers who wolfishly whirls towards the man he knows will be waiting above him is a man consumed with one thought alone: combat. Thou dost appear even more droll with each succeeding surprise, Rogers. I rejoice that I did decide against ending your life when first we met. Remember, thrice shalt thou see me, thrice shall we vie, and then on the next time Steve Rogers shall die. In his Captain America days, this man prided himself on the amount of calm detachment he brought to his combat skills. But those days aren't these days. Now he feels and revels in a molten rage sweeping his veins, a rage born of this mockery and this disruption of his new life. And like a great uncoiling spring, he moves. And he does. He grabs the top of the stairway and starts to jump up to the top of the roof. Lurking on rooftops won't save you this time, Archer. I'm coming after you. Come ahead, then. 'Twill be a long chase and a merry one, varlet. No chance, Archer. You're mine. Arrows snapped past him, harrowly missing, but missing all the same. He would react only to a direct hit, like the mechanical rabbit on a dog racing track. Danger serves as a lure. I like that description in that, like he's just charging, and the ones that just barely go by him, he doesn't react to. He only reacts to the ones that he knows would be a direct hit.
Right. He's so singularly focused on the chase.
Yeah. I would be just like swerving
Huh?
all the
Ooh,
time. Yeah.
yeah,
I would
right.
swerve into
Yeah,
an arrow,
okay, right.
is
Yeah,
what I would do.
yeah. Ooh, I sort of zigged when I zagged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see that reminds me of a movie Chevy Chase was in. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Deal of the Century, I think.
When he was,
Uh
yeah, yeah, about the arms dealers, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There was a scene, I could be getting my movies mixed up. Totally could be. But there was a scene where he was working with somebody and they were taking fire and they were hidden behind a car and they ran to hide behind another car. And he was like, all right, when you go over there, make sure you zig and you zag and you zig and you zag. Don't run straight. And the guy just runs straight. And then he makes him do it over again because he didn't zig and zag. It was like completely ridiculous.
Yeah, love it.
Churl, follow me if thou darest, to thy doom. You call him a churl again, Bob. What does that mean?
Lowest level of farm worker, peasant. Yeah, right above the
Thy
surf.
thy death be not yet ordained, but I can be persuaded to act if forced to. You talk a good game, Goldie, but I don't need a rope to swing down on, and I'm not running from you. Ah, thou dost believe our battle a game, Rogers. Then play fool, and to the vector the spoils. And he fires an arrow at him, but the arrow flies, the target moves, and in the same motion, the target grabs a shield. Hmm, that's the second time I've automatically protected myself with a trash can lid. When did he do it before?
The first being the first time he faced Lucifer in last issue.
Ah, looks like my retirement hasn't put any rust on my fighting style. What do you say to that, Goldie? And Goldie runs. Let's get through a couple pages here. One of them being the letter column. Let's wrap with Cap. Did you notice who wrote the first letter?
Was it Ralph?
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah,
Indeed.
do it.
Yes, this was Ralph Macchio as a writing and as a fan, as opposed prior to when he got the
Yeah.
job as editor at Marvel.
Wow.
Excellent. And then a couple more pages, and then we go. All right. The chase pounds hard down the alleyway, clatters through debris drowned courtyards, and then bursts full blown into the streets. Which is when an interesting thing occurs. And it's Falcon and Redwing on top of a building looking down. Steve legging it after some new costume clown.
Scar!
Yeah, ready? Steve, my cop out buddy, who can't even stay decently copped out. Maybe I should lend him a hand. But I think I'll just keep on patrolling. So the Falcon turns away, and Steve doesn't even know. I grow weary of this pursuit, Rogers. Other events now taking shape do summon me. So I shall once more bid thee adieu. He really is weary. He missed me by a mile. I can run him down within a block, and the arrow goes, what, like 2 feet over his head and hits the wall behind him.
Right.
But what does it do, Bob?
It goes flash.
Ah, saving of the world. That's so funny. Our minds went to that.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And you better believe that when Steve's eyesight recovers from the blinding blast, his he's very alone. That's all right, Goldie. I know I'll see you again, and I've got a few ideas for when I do. That long awaited fourth meeting between Steve and his nemesis is just around the corner, Capvan. But first, let's see how the new Captain America is making it out in California. And sure enough, it's Scar dressed as Captain America. Now we could tell.
How can you tell, Rick?
Oh, there's a scar on his face, Bob.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Next panel, right?
Yeah.
And his big beefy face.
You know, he looks like John Walker as Captain America.
He does. It looks like John Walker, who has put on a little weight
Mm,
because he's got a fat head
Bob, don't head shame him.
there. That's right. That was wrong. He's doing his best.
Far out, a mugging. I've been kind of leery about trotting my costume bod down to the cops to show 'em who they got working with them now. They might just put me away for disrespecting the flag. But when Scar Turpin brings 'em a couple of real baddies, hey, we got company. No hassle, Jocko. No fancy cops putting anything over the road runners. That's what a gang's for. Holy Joe. Now there's 6 of 'em, and I even bring my tire iron. But he's got a shield. He could use a shield, right?
He's got a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So he gets pummeled, and then this last panel, he's this last panel looks like something out of like a Bazooka Joe
It
comic,
does. Yeah.
you
Yep.
know? Yeah, or I don't know. It might
Oh.
as well have been like little birds going around his head.
I look. I love the shield.
Yeah,
His
it
looks like
is.
a carpet.
It's just real ridiculous. The shield's all destroyed, but it's all like wavy. 2 of 'em, even 3. Old Scar could have cracked their skulls for him, but 6? This superhero business ain't all it's cracked up to be. Really? Wah, wah. Amen to that, rare Scar. Rebounding to the East Coast, we find that promised fourth meeting already in progress. And it looks like we've arrived not a moment too soon. A low chuckle scuffles from the mysterious marksman's throat as he sees his prey framed so invitingly in Sam Wilson's window, where Steve Rogers has taken up residence of late. He chuckles because he too has read the complete Sherlock Holmes. The master detective used the same gambit, the dummy behind the shade, in the adventure of the empty house. It's exactly the sort of ploy the Golden Archer expected from his query. But oddly, he calmly fits an arrow to his bow and aims at the shadow's head. He fires, while above him, silent as a ghost in the clinging darkness, 190 pounds of the world's greatest fighting machine launches himself in a tight trajectory, swooping towards a bone bruising impact. Ugh. And this next page is a gigantic splash page of Steve Rogers in his civilian identity diving at the Golden Archer from behind and slamming him forward.
Are we just going to ignore the fact that they said that he's 190 pounds?
I thought that. Yeah. I'm like, where's the official handbook of the Marvel Universe? Oh, that's right. They hadn't created it yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're 9 years away from that being created.
right. 190 pounds. He's like 6'3", isn't he? I mean, my goodness. My gosh, 190. I got still a few pounds left to lose to catch up with him.
Yeah. And the next page is two half splashes, two big panels. For the first time, Steve Rogers has laid a glove on his elusive opponent in the crazy duel, and it feels fantastic. All the familiar thrills go arcing through him as the archer goes sprawling. Yes, and the familiar aches, too. And even the archer's violent response is like a long lost friend. They put him in touch with himself, past and present. It's all part of the game. No, varlet, strip me of my bow, and you strip me not of my threat. And he grabs an arrow from his behind his back and throws it at him. Is he out of his mind? Is that the explanation for all this? Throwing an arrow can't harm me. And if that's his last line of defense, he's going to find himself lying flat on his back. And he basically, twirls himself around a lamp hole and kicks him uh, in the center. Okay, Goldie, this is our fourth meeting, and I'm not dead yet. And if you think you've still got a chance, hey, hey, don't. I surrender. Uncle. What? Your voice changed. And good Lord, not just your voice. I can't believe it. You're Hawkeye. And he pulls off a mask. This is straight out of Baron Zemo, Sergeant, whatever his name was.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah,
he's pulling the Golden Archer's face and hair and domino mask off, and what's underneath? It's not Clint Barton. It's
right.
Hawkeye with his mask on, with his pointy mask.
Right, yeah. It like went boing.
And what did Cap yell?
Hawkeye.
And what was my opening to you today?
Nice. Nice man. You are on the money.
I don't know why you didn't catch it.
I know. I don't know either. I don't know. It's the pressure. It's the
I
pressure of the
guess so.
moment,
I
Rick.
guess so. Howdy, Cap. How's tricks? Need we reintroduce this happy-go-lucky hero? We thought not. Roy, the editor. Hawkeye. But why in the name of sanity have you been masquerading like this? Like I said, Avenger, I owe you a good turn. Let me turn the page, last page. See, when I first hooked up with the mighty assemblers, I was nothing but a hot headed punk, but you took it on yourself to make me straighten up and fly right. I've never forgotten, Cap, which is why I kept my usually oversized mouth zipped after seeing you doing a switch one night. You really shouldn't try those Clark Kent bits when you hang out with a bunch of goofballs who dig lurking on rooftops, pal. Say what?
Crossover, right?
He said Clark Kent.
He sure did. Yeah.
So he knows Clark Kent is Superman and that he goes into alleyways and he changes out?
Yeah. He probably watches a TV show.
Wow. Anyway, pretty soon after I walked out on you guys, when was that, Bob?
And that was back in Avengers 109.
Yes. So just a little history on that. So that was in 1973. So actually, it's been a year and a half since Hawkeye quit the Avengers. During this time, he's been with the Defenders, written by
Steve Englehart,
art by.
Buscema.
Yeah, there you go. How about that? Anyway, he eventually comes back to the Avengers later this month with Giant Size Avengers #2. So we haven't seen Hawkeye basically with the Avengers for a year and a half. So your big secret didn't loom too large in my life while I ran around looking for my own place in the sun. But one thing I never doubted, whether I was solo or hooked up with some other super guys, was that super guys are where it's at. So when the news broke that Captain America has stashed his shield, I figured I'd play Golden Archer, toss up some corny Thor talk, and force you to be a super guy again. I wanted to show you what's up, like you showed me, Steve. That's all well and good, mister, but you could have saved yourself the trouble. Though I'm the only one who seems to believe it, Captain America is not coming back. Oh, I believe it. I know how stubborn you can be. And that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying you shouldn't waste these powers of yours because of the craziness in Washington. Why don't you take on a new identity? A new identity? You mean become a whole new superhero? Hmm. Why not? Admit it, Marvelite. You thought Steve's irrevocable decision was going to get revoked after just 3 issues, didn't you? You thought this was just a rerun of 1,000 old plots. See what you think next ish with the coming of Nomad, a man without a country.
Woo! All right.
How about that?
How about that? Can you imagine like getting to that last panel when you pick this one up off the spinner rack and like cannot wait for the next month.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Steve Egglehart's, this was big, big time, like surprises and twists and contemporary stuff. He was doing a good job. And now, like we read it now, and it seems dated. And I mean, gosh, it's over half a century old, Bob.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's going to seem dated, but it was ahead of its time at the time. And I think it was interesting too that he made a point to continuously try to show different characters stepping in the role of Captain America for a few reasons. One, I think he wants to demonstrate it's not easy. Even even the best athletes or the toughest guys can't handle it.
Mm, yeah.
Not even a little bit,
Right.
right? Like on their very first time out, they can't handle it. So I think that's important that he's trying to play along. Number two, I think it's all building up to a bigger part of the story that we'll get to in future issues.
Good summation there. Now I like that point about the the folks who try to step in
Mm-hmm.
to Steve's uniform, right? And these sort of peak individuals in their own fields, athletes and tough guys and so on. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not done that journey yet, but I think that's a really important takeaway. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's all he's doing a really good job at foreshadowing, I think,
Yeah.
and laying the groundwork there. While at the moment it may not make sense, and maybe like, what? Why are we seeing about these other guys? It's not important. Um, and it's I think, we're also not in this particular issue too much, but we're seeing how Sam Wilson is able to go off on his own. We're seeing his relationship with Sharon. We're seeing the stress of the relationship with Peggy. Um, it's all kind of coming together. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed it. Um, all right, Bob, you go first. Do you have a favorite panel?
Well, I'm going to have to go with that first splash page, Rick, and for a couple of reasons. One is it's just so well done. Just a great city scene. But the thing that really draws me in is that reflection in the plate
I thought
glass
you were going to
window.
say the mini skirt.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to mention, but you just stole my thunder. So I'm going to have to go with continuing to talk about the reflection in the plate glass window. So I thought it was just really well executed, and just the depth of that scene. It's just so well done, and one of the reasons why I love Sal's work so much.
Yeah, he's looking in the mirror or in the reflection, and he's like, "Am I a muppet or a man?" Am I a Muppet of a man?
Oh, how
That
about yourself, Rick?
that's what we call a callback, Bob.
That's a callback right
Yeah, that's a
there.
callback. I would say my favorite panel is page 23, and so we're getting towards the end there, and it's the one where Scar is in the last panel, and he's sitting there with the like looking all defeated, Bazooka Joe like, with that shield. That shield just
Oh yeah,
cracks me up.
yeah.
I
Looked like
think,
it got too hot in the sun,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, I mean he's all torn up. I love the fact that he's got teeth missing. It's just one of his wings on the side of his mask is broken.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Just a rough night.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We've all been there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. How about t-shirt worthy? You got anything you'd like to slap on a t-shirt?
I struggled with this one, Bob. I
Yeah.
struggled with this one until I finally figured it out, and then I was
Uh,
like, of course, this would be an excellent T-shirt, and that is the very last panel where
oh.
Steve says, "A new identity? You mean become a whole new superhero? Why not?" That is, I think, would be cool on a T-shirt. If you know, you know,
Uh-huh.
and it would be, and of course, I want the Nomad, the man without a country, little teaser at the bottom underneath it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. All
yeah.
right.
How about you?
Well, I think about halfway through that book, I think it was the second encounter with the Golden Archer when Steve picks up the trash can lid and protects himself from an arrow. But it's not the one where it goes ka-tang. Although I love that one. It was around page 12 or 13 or something. But it's the very next panel when he holds that trash can in his hand and he looks down at it and he says, that's the second time I've automatically protected myself with a trash can lid. I'm
Mm.
putting that on the shirt because that's a definite. If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't know, and they'll be like, "What the hell is this guy's T-shirt talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the MCU guys will get it.
Oh, sure, sure.
You
But
know,
guys at
they'll.
Publix, the grocery store, just yeah, they're just gonna be lost on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, Bob. What is going in your time capsule?
Well, it's gonna have to be. This is the issue that Steve finally broke the news to Peggy.
What do you tell me, Bob? Just give me a specific.
Yeah, well, he said that he's no longer into her, right? That
Bob, I need to know. Is it a panel? Is it a specific?
well, hold on. I didn't mark the page number here, Rick.
This is important, Bob.
It's important.
Yes.
Okay, all right. If it's important, all right. So I'm going to have to. It's the middle panel. I think around page 10.
What we have was beautiful, Peggy, but it can't exist today.
That's it. That's it. It can't, Rick. It just can't.
Okay.
It's sad.
That was mine, Bob.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
I wanted something specific because you stole mine.
oh well, that's a shame. I'm sorry about that, Rick.
Yeah, it's all right, Bob.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I was going to go with the low hanging fruit, but
Yeah, which was what?
well, I can't tell you
No,
now.
you can totally tell me. It's okay.
I was intrigued by the newspaper that Scar was reading because
Yeah,
it was clear that they were talking about Elizabeth Taylor and
yeah.
Richard Burton, but I was just perplexed why they were referring to Nard and Pat, which was an old
Mm.
cartoon from the late 60s.
Oh, yeah. Whew. That's my backup plan, Bob. So
what?
glad you didn't take my backup plan too. Let's go to my time capsule.
All right. Yeah. What's in your time capsule?
I just said,
What's in your wallet, Rick?
I'm going with the newspaper. Liz and Dick
All
and
right.
Pat.
Liz and Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
They were big back then. But
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
know. What's the, I wish, yeah. I don't know. Was it a lettering thing? Was it an Englehart or some call out? I don't know.
Uh,
But the Pat and Nard it's got me perplexed.
well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
So Bob, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I can't wait to get to the next issue because that one's a humdinger. So
Indeed. And I can't wait to get to next week, Bob, because we are finally going to cover a 1987 comic in honor of May being Asthma Awareness Month. Next episode, come back for Cap Meets the Asthma Monster.
by popular demand, yes, I love
Indeed.
it.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
That'll be fun. So we'll come back and do that. Do you have your issue, Bob?
I'm going to have to dig that one out because that I don't think I've ever read that one.
No?
No,
Oh, okay. Because it's they. I think I got it. I haven't either, but I did buy it at like a con. Like one of those dollar
you
boxes or
sure?
something.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I don't have this.
yeah.
And I got the 1987 Cap Meets the Asthma Monster and the 1989
Ooh,
Return of the
yeah.
Asthma Monsters.
Return of the
Do you have
Asthma
both?
Monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the second one. I'll have to like dig through my database there, my little handheld database, and see what's in there.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan. We will come back here next week for that. Bob, as always, I've had a ton of fun wrapping cap with you.
Me too. Can't wait till next week, my friend.
All right. And if you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. We do appreciate your comments. We do appreciate your questions. If you do have a question for us, you can email us at capcomicfans@gmail.com or post it in the Facebook group. And maybe we will read your question here. And as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.